right, good morning, good bright morning on this 20th of March 2025. It is the International Day of Happiness. Are you happy? How hot is the coffee where you are? My name is Freddy Ndemuli. This is a Morning Cafe. My
name is Ann Odida. Karibu sana. How happy are you
on
a scale of 1 to 10?
I think 11. Leo, by the way, to be honest, this
well, we can make it here. March is also running. That's what we're here for. Karibu sana. Thank you so much for choosing us. This is Morning Cafe.
All right, so let's try and make you happy today. On the dailies, Kenya inavyoosha pesa chafu, money laundering on the front page of Taifa Leo. Na ni kama,
The Standard, pain, suffering, fury.
A not so happy headline there from the Standard. Yep. People Daily, shocker for employees. Hey, lakini Kenya tunakuwa tuna shida. Okay, so it's an International Day of Happiness. Look at the dailies and there's rarely a positive headline on the front pages.
Daily Nation, briefcase farm awarded 1 billion shillings for state land.
Kenyans forced into sex slavery, another sad headline.
Yeah. Nothing to smile about.
And matters business.
How KQ petrol levy broke Kenya's 110 billion shillings IMF deal.
Right. Not a single positive headline from any Kenyan daily on this International Day of Happiness. Anyway, for State of the Nation today, we're going to be having this 4 individuals: Wilson Sosion, former SG of KNUT; Kathy Rungu, political leader; Dr. Peter Mbaya, leadership and governance expert; and Arnold Maliba makes a comeback. Alifungua chama chake hivi karibuni. It was party leader, Progress Plus Alliance. He used to be the strategic communications advisor at UDA. Lakini kama ameona mambo tofauti sasa.
All right.
Let's cross over and take a look at what's happening in Uganda. Even in Uganda, nothing sweet from Atiak. That's the front page of the Daily Monitor. They say public money, private pockets. The factory started nearly 5 years ago, ran into whirlwinds and has barely served the taxpayer despite taking in billions of shillings. More or less what you're seeing in Kenya.
Yeah.
A lot of money, that's public money going into private pockets. So this is a story there. And they talk about this one particular company. The government has invested about 668 billion Ugandan shillings into the facility, a total of 668 billion shillings since 2020. This is a private firm. Where? Atiak. Wanafanyanga nini huko Atiak? Right. 70% schools punish children against the law. That's a report in Uganda. And the Bank of Uganda plans to upgrade financial market.
New Vision, still in Uganda, matters education there, still given prominence. Best USCE teachers.
Yes. And this is something you'd never see in Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they give us strategies they use to make learners excel. On pages 4 and 7 of this particular newspaper. Museveni breaks ground for Nyoro University, still matters education there. Matters crime as well. NFA workers arrested over Mabira destruction. And UNEP cancels PLE results for 3,500 learners. On the Apachini, defense 6 details of 2 police officers recorded on exhibit.
At least a positive front page.
Yeah.
Yes. Best teachers, groundbreaking of a new university. That's a New Vision in Uganda.
Yes.
Tuangalie magazeti ya kule Tanzania. Ni mshiko siku 48 moto. Baada ya kuwekwa kiti moto na ofisi ya msajili, Chadema yatangaza mkakati kampeni bila mabadiliko. Hakuna uchaguzi. Waanza na kanda ya sugu. Chadema still insisting that no reforms, no election. It's only months to October when they going for the general election. So wanaita bila mabadiliko, hakuna uchaguzi. No reforms, no campaign, no elections. Mambo manne Profesa Janabi akishinda WHO. Askofu atema nyongo kwenye jubilei ya Kilaini. Ni habari nyingine imepewa kipaumbele pale. Na mapya ujenzi kituo cha Magufuli. So the Magufuli Foundation ni kama wamekosa mpango mkakati wa kulifanya ikamilike. Kama fedha ni tatizo, wangeweza tu kumpa. Wanamkuu pale jamani anaitwa Lawrence James. So this foundation inahitaji bilioni 50.9 kiasi cha fedha kilichotumika kwenye mradi wa ujenzi wa kituo cha mabasi Magufuli. So ni Magufuli bus station. Na haijakwisha. Wananchi not so positive.
The Citizen, Janabi, my priorities if I win WHO Africa post. And they say Professor Mohamed Janabi states his commitment to strengthening healthcare systems, advancing universal health coverage, and fostering innovation in Africa. He says, "My focus will be on strengthening primary healthcare, which will enable us to achieve universal health coverage and ensure that services are accessible to everyone." Shift in preferences hits forestry subsector hard. The story on page 2. And they say the Bank of Tanzania's consolidated hexagonal economic performance report for the quarter ended September 2024 revealed that the total value of forest products traded had fallen to 252.8 billion shillings. That is from the corresponding period in 2022. Other stories here: Biteko's directive on water loss, and Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Biteko yesterday directed water authorities to adopt robust strategies to tackle water wastage and prevent financial losses that are undermining the sector's development and sustainability. This story is on page 2.
Yeah, now you know they have a Deputy Prime Minister in Tanzania, meaning they also have a Prime Minister.
Yes.
Those are the dailies this morning across the region and locally, and we'll be back to take a look at the local dailies in a short while. Let's take a look at the weather patterns because a lot is happening. And we start off with our zoom.earth map. It onyeshe Africa and especially Kenya where the clouds are, because the cloud cover is what determines a lot of things. There's been a lot of rainfall, especially in most parts of the country. There's a huge system around here, yes. This is one of the, and for the very first time, Habaswein and Wajir,
Wajir, please.
Wajir, they're receiving a lot of cloud cover. Habswein, I don't think we even know where Habswein is. So there's a lot of cloud cover on the northeastern side of the country, and the southern part, a bit of the central highlands. Areas around Nairobi, Nakuru, Narok getting a lot of this cloud cover. But if you look at Uganda, areas over Lake Victoria, there's a lot of cloud cover there. So areas around Barara, Masaka, Bukoba, Mwanza in the side of Uganda, Tanzania, Katoro, a lot of rainfall from there. But let's focus a bit on this area, that's Wajir, and that's where we start our weather assessment. Okay. Light rain expected. It is 26 degrees Celsius as we speak. Feels like 28. A bit of rainfall as we speak right now. It's going to get as high as 34 degrees despite that cloud cover in Wajir. And as far as rainfall is concerned, 7.1 millimeters of rainfall, which is a bit decent, quite decent for Wajir. So you do expect a bit of humidity there in Wajir. Let's take a look at Nakuru, which is also receiving some cloud cover.
It's 16 degrees in Nakuru as we speak. Rain likely around to be experienced around 1 p.m. But sai kuna showers throughout the day. Very, very little cloud cover.
15.2 millimeters of rainfall. That's
yes.
good for Nakuru. Yes, you know what, for Nakuru. Mama Freddy najua anafurahia sana.
This is very good weather.
Very good weather. Because when it dries in Nakuru, by the way, it's ugly. I can tell you the truth. What about Kisumu, areas of Seme?
It's 19 degrees. It feels like 24. Upper highs of 26 degrees today. This is also comfortable weather for Kisumu. Cloud cover throughout, cloudy, lakini kutanyesha kuanzia jioni ya saa 9. Precipitation 6.6 millimeters. Comfortable weather for watu wa kwetu.
All right. Let's take a look at holiday weather. That's in Diani. Also, a rainfall expected. Actually, this morning it is cloudy. Highs of 32 degrees, but in as far as rainfall, 2.5 millimeters of rainfall in Diani. So wale wako holiday, hata kama unatembea bila vests, utanyeshewa kidogo. Finally, Nairobi.
In Nairobi, it's 17 degrees, feels like it. Cloudy throughout the day, lakini hapa weather kutanyesha. Highs of 24 degrees. Precipitation 5.1 millimeters.
All right. So at least we know Nakuru are going to receive probably one of the highest rainfall today. That's a good thing. So that's as far as a cloud cover and weather forecast is expected today. Let's take a look at traffic situation in Nairobi. I can tell you for sure that City Hallway in Nairobi has been closed down because of the flagging off of the WRC Safari Rally, which will be flagged off by the President this morning at KICC. So if you're planning to get into town, na umezoea kupitia City Hall Way. Both sides have been closed. The two roundabouts, the one at inaitwaje? Hii kanisa kubwa, Holy Family Basilica, and the other one that's right next to the Supreme Court entrance. Those two have been closed down to traffic. So you cannot use that road. But watu wa kutoka Thika Road, saa hii ni masaa mzuri sana you can get to town because Pangani interchange is not that bad. Hata watu wa Kiambu Road, yes, you can get into town much faster. Jogoo Road, kwa nini mapema aje? Hata watu wa Jogoo Road wajaamka 10 minutes past 6 and I can only see yellow on parts of Jogoo Road, meaning that smooth traffic. But ukienda Kangundo Road, where the stretch of red pale karibu na Outer Ring Road, areas around Umoja One Market, it's red on both sides of the road. Matatu zimejaa everywhere. Hata pale karibu Mama Lucy Hospital. So if you're using Kangundo Road, do expect a bit of a slow traffic. Also, if you're using Outer Ring Road, areas like Feather and Pipeline, matatu zimejaa pale. Donholm pia, matatu ziko pale na zitakufungia kidogo. The Eastern Bypass is also quite busy today. Pale ukishapita hiyo roundabout ya Kenya Airways headquarters, a lot of traffic there. And even as you get closer to Southfield Mall, it's getting busy. Imara Daima, all the way to town, that's Mombasa Road, the expressway past Next Gen, past Capital Center, not looking bad. It's green all the way into town. Southern Bypass, not an incident anywhere. Uhuru Gardens, too green all the way. So is Raila Odinga Way. Hiyo ni ile inaitwa Bagathi. Yes. Ngong Road, apart from Prestige Plaza pale, kuna cross change hapo inanga shida. Na ABC all the way into town. Hata pale kwa entrance ya expressway iko sawa. So traffic today not so bad, but once again I tell you, if at all you're going inside the city center, do expect a lot of traffic sababu kuna areas zimefunga pale, specifically around KICC for the official flagging off of the WRC Safari Rally 2025.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day.
In every setback lies the seed of an even greater comeback. Don't let temporary failure define you. Let it fuel you to rise stronger and more determined than ever.
All right, and niliona jamaa amesema, hey, Odida, you have a very nice voice when you do that voiceover. You're quote of the day.
You're out of order.
Watu wanakuja tu hapo kusikiza sauti.
It's Happiness Day. Thank you for making me happy.
International Happiness Day. Tuangazie magazeti. Kenya inavyoosha pesa chafu. Issues around money laundering. Pesa haramu hufichwa kupitia bidhaa za magendo, sekta ya ujenzi na kupitia kwa mawakili. Hii ni ripoti ya Amerika. Wanasema raia wa kigeni mara nyingi hutumia huduma za kutuma na kupokea pesa kimataifa ambazo si rasmi. Wahalifu hutumia mbinu hizi kuhamisha pesa kwa haraka na bila kutambuliwa. Hii ripoti wanasema serikali ya Amerika imefichua jinsi pesa zinazopatikana kwa njia haramu nchini hugeuzwa kuwa halali. Ripoti kuhusu usafishaji wa pesa haramu iliyotolewa na idara ya mashauri ya kigeni ya Amerika imeonyesha kuwa huduma za pesa za simu ambazo hutumiwa na idadi kubwa ya raia wa Somalia humu nchini zimegeuka kuwa mojawapo ya mbinu kuu ambazo wahalifu hutumia kusafisha pesa zao.
Wash.
Inaitwa wash, money laundering. Si wash ile ya kuweka pesa sijui kwa chemical. Hiyo hapana hiyo.
Yeah.
Now this is a proper money laundering. Hiyo ndo habari kamili pale. Na kuna ile system ambayo watu wengi wa Somalia wanatumia kusafirisha pesa kutoka nchi za kigeni, kutoka one country to another without really taking the money physically. I forget the name, but wanasema hizo ndio zinatumika. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Nyakangwa is a control of budget. Nyakangwa anika county kifua mbele. Mandera inaongoza county 5 bora katika utekelezaji wa miradi ya maendeleo. Did you ever believe that?
No.
Natembea lenga viatu vya Raila. Governor asema hatakaa kimya kuhusu changamoto zinazokabili raia. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 3. Pale kuna picha lakini ndogo pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele kuna picha pale, alafu kuna Felix Tshisekedi rais wa DRC kwa upande moja. Ameketi wanaonana uso kwa uso.
Ana kwa ana.
Ana kwa ana na rais wa Rwanda Paul Kagame sema mkutano wafanyika Doha, lakini Tshisekedi asema hata shauriana na waasi wa M23. Hata waangaliani. Tshisekedi amekaa hivyo anaangalia tu huyo jamaa aliwaleta pamoja.
Both leading na emotions.
Waangaliani wamekasirika, wamenuniana. Can you imagine two presidents wamefura tu hata waangaliani.
Wanawaka kama dragon.
Pale juu Kawira Mwangaza laumu Ruto kwa masaibu, adai serikali ya kitaifa ilitekeleza wajibu katika kutimuliwa kwake. Na kwenye spoti, matumaini ya England kwa Rashford, kocha Tuchel kwa usukani kwa mara ya kwanza dhidi ya Albania kesho usiku. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
The Standard, pain, suffering, fury. SHA mess. More than 1 million teachers, police and their dependents have been left to their own devices after hospitals refuse to treat them on government insurance. The service providers say the Social Health Authority is yet to pay debts and have no option but to shut their doors on the officers, tutors and their families during their time of need if they cannot pay cash for treatment. Now, 110,000 police affected and their dependents under the National Police Service and the Kenya Prison Service face similar issues. Let's take a look at this. Wanatupatia hapa some amounts here. They say there is a massive debt and hospitals are owed 11 billion shillings under the teachers' cover, affecting 403,522 teachers and 969,000 dependents. Blame on insurance providers in the crisis is attributed to non-payment by the defunct NHIF, its successor SHA, and medical administrators, that is the Kenya Limited Minet Kenya. SHA shambles.
SHA in shambles.
SHA in a struggle. Okay. The top strip, Vroom, 100,000 fans expected at Safari Rally. Is that time of the year again?
Vasha. Kama mpoa wako hapatikani weekend hii, samahani.
Lakini mimi naenda nyumbani. Mimi naenda nyumbani.
Unaenda nyumbani? Hata wewe utapatikana Nairobi.
Mimi naenda nyumbani lakini.
Leo hata kama kunanyesha, dust itaonekana. People will see dust.
Kitengela ifiki.
Ai, ngoja. Dust itaonekana literally.
Yes. Rwanda, DRC in surprise. Qatar talks. We talked about that hapo Taifa Leo. Kule nyuma, Will McCarthy quench Kenyans' football thirst? Ali comment on this. Alisema he believes in the team, that all we need to do is adapt quickly to the new style of play, tactics, and move forward. We know we need results.
Right.
That is McCarthy, and that's the Standard.
Still inside the Standard now, the WRC Safari Rally 2025, they've done a spread on pages 38 and 39. Of course, epic battle between man and machines awaits in Naivasha. So, ladies and gentlemen, the hour has come. The engines are roaring, the helicopters are at the ready, the spectators are ecstatic, drivers are tense, and the parties will be endless. Welcome to Vasha. As the third leg of the 2025 World Rally Championships, WRC, the Safari Rally zooms off today, and fans cannot wait. Dust will definitely be seen in Naivasha and in people's hearts. Poleni sana in advance. That's the Standard today. Let's focus on the People Daily, a different story. SHA shocker for employees. Kenyans whose employers fail to remit their deductions by 9th of every month will not access insurance services. So your employer has deducted the 2.75% of your gross pay as supposed to go to the Social Health Authority, but then they take time. They do the remittance, but after 9th of the month. Ndio umekatwa hiyo pesa. Lakini if your employer delays, akituma hiyo pesa 10th or 11th, hata ukienda hospitali hautatibiwa. Yes. Lazima atume before 9th. Na umelipa tayari, wewe ushalipa. I'm telling you. The story is on page 4. Wameita grand failure. People Daily squeeze hata wanaanguka nayo proper. Matters Safari Rally, Kyle Rovampera wins shakedown in Naivasha. That's pages 28 and 29. Matters WRC. Of course, once again, it's being flagged off today, this morning at the KICC here in Nairobi. And Mudavadi says drug trafficker Nduta is paying for her sins. This is a CS in charge of foreign affairs. He says currently there are over 1,000 Kenyans were facing similar challenges. They are languishing in prisons abroad, in foreign countries, due to similar offenses like the one Ruto is accused of. And he says, well, there's only so much we can do as a Kenyan government. We can't tell foreign countries to release all our people, because once you commit a crime, then and you're in a foreign country, you're subject to the country's laws. Pale juu, over 20 lineup in Malava for Malulu Injendi's seat. The by-elections coming up. Kutakuwa na by-elections nyingi.
Yes.
Yeah. Once IEBC is formed. That's on page 8. And that's the People Daily.
Daily Nation, briefcase farm awarded 1 billion shillings for state land is questionable because National Lands Commission has appealed against payout. Now, controversy in a brazen case of double compensation. Taxpayers will be forced to pay more than 1 billion shillings to a city company for a parcel in Embakasi, for which the National Police Service had already been paid 1.65 billion shillings when it was acquired for the Standard Gauge Railway, that is SGR, 8 years ago, putting the Land Acquisition Tribunal on the spot. This story is on page 4 of this newspaper. Let's take a look at it. Anasema briefcase farm bags 1 billion shillings in mystery double compensation. Land in question was initially set aside for the construction of a National Police Service hospital. And development raises questions about how the company could seek compensation for the same land that police was paid. They ask, payment a case of fraud? Again, 1.6 billion shillings is the amount the National Police Service was compensated for the land 8 years ago when it acquired the SGR land. Interesting. Ruto ready to face a hostile Mount Kenya. Rigathi alimwambia he's very much welcome. Now, President William Ruto will host some Mount Kenya MPs at State House today as a follow-up to last week's meeting by Deputy President Kithure Kindiki in preparation for their 7-day tour of the region. Now, this newspaper has established that the extensive tour scheduled for the end of this month or early April has already begun to raise political temperatures in the region that swept President Ruto to power in the 2022 race, before turning hostile following his bitter falling out with the former DP Rigathi Gachagua. It is politically significant as it will be the first tour to the region by the president since the impeachment of Mr. Gachagua last October. Akisema barabara watu wanasema
Anaweza taka kusikia akienda Mount Kenya aseme ile barabara ya kutoka Nyeri iende wapi?
He can't do that in Mount Kenya. That's the Daily Nation. All
right. On the Star, and we do have a physical copy, they talk about something totally different. Kenyans forced into sex slavery. Stories on page 4 and 5. So, desert desire, Kenyans lure to brothels in the Middle East and Asia. So a report by the US State Department has exposed how Kenyan women and girls have been trafficked to work in brothels and servitude in the Middle East and Asia. So unajua your sister ama your auntie or even your mom anafanya kazi Middle East na ujui exactly what she does. Anatuma tu pesa. In the 2024 Trafficking in Persons report, the US also found traffickers are recruiting foreigners for sex work in Kenya, painting the country as a hotbed for human trafficking. Yeah. Where? The story is on page 4 and 5. Human trafficking menace in Kenya. It also includes a comment there, an expert comment from a civil society. That's a big story on the front page of the Star. The other story given prominence, Kalonzo Eugene Mon cop killed in Haiti. The police officer who died during the Kenya mission in Haiti was buried yesterday. Alikuwa anaitwa Samuel Kaitwai. He was killed in Haiti and was buried at Nasirian village in Kajiado East constituency. Yes, very unfortunate. Other stories there on the front page, Kenya among nations running out of AIDS drugs. And we rarely talk about this, and probably this should have been the biggest story. 8 countries, among them Kenya, Nigeria, and Lesotho, could soon run out of HIV drugs following US government's recent decision to pause foreign aid WHO has said. However, the health ministry says the country has enough ARVs to last 4 months, only 4 months. Yeah. And chili market on fire, igniting calls for fresh varieties. That's the Star. Fresh, independent, different. Let's take a look at business.
All right. How KQ petrol levy broke Kenya's 110 billion shillings IMF deal. And Kenya failed to honor 11 conditions agreed upon with the IMF, including restructuring Kenya Airways and spending of billions of shillings collected from fuel levies, costing the country 110 billion shillings in funding. The Treasury opted for a new funding program from the IMF after the termination of a final review of an existing facility that would have unlocked the 110 billion shillings, exposing the country to a budget financing gap. Now, Kenya failed to reach a deal with the IMF over getting a strategic investor for KQ to support capitalization, reduce debt, and expand it. Speculators raid Uchumi stock, make it top performers at NSE. The story is on page 2.
That's the irony. Uchumi is still trading at the NSE. Yet we cannot see any of the shops.
Yeah. Wanasema speculators are taking a big bet on the Uchumi supermarkets share price despite the company's financial woes, branch closures that have wiped out sales, and inability to service historical debt to suppliers and banks.
That's the irony of economy, because now for a company that's doing so badly, yet it's trading so well at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. What exactly are you trading in?
Ama anafanya wash. Sahi we see what is.
Well,
on the ticket, households beat businesses in new bank loans. Stanchet pays record 17 billion shillings dividend after profit rises up by 45%. And NSSF diversifies asset portfolio into Eurobonds and private equity. That's the Business Daily.
All right. Tuangazie maswala ya karakacha sasa. What are the cartoonists saying this morning? And we start off with a cartoon from the Daily Nation. And kuna jamaa mbebo kwa isi wheelchair, ini pram. Karibu niseme wheelchair. So a caricature of the president pushing baby stroller with the former prime minister being carried on the stroller there. Alafu jamaa anasema, but the country is calm. But kuna travel advisory there from the US State Department. Asema crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnappings. Some of them are featured on the front pages.
Daily Nation.
Is it Daily Nation? I think it's the Star on sex trafficking in Kenya. Alafu gazeti la Taifa Leo wanasema ile maswala ya wash.
Yeah, laundering.
Money laundering. Crime, terrorism, civil unrest and kidnappings. But the country is calm, the president says. That's a Daily Nation.
People Daily. Only in Kenya, they say, where we have quack doctors and fake medicine, we have fake police stations, we have fake currency in circulation, money laundering, we have a fake political promises. A caricature there of
a politician.
Yes. Akisema pale, if you vote for me, you will get free 1 million chapatis.
Ni nani alisema maneno haya?
Alama ya dukuduku.
Maneno haya si mageni mjini.
Labda kwa mgeni jijini.
The cartoon on the Standard has a very interesting caricature of someone. I'm trying to find out, huyu ni nani? Amekiwa mpaka akona claws kwa maguu. Mwenye alichora hii cartoon amekasirikia huyo mtu.
Yes.
Ninafikiri ninajua ni nani. Amefinya press. Ni nani alifinya press?
Yes.
Unamkumbuka?
Ama tumseme?
Ni professor fulani hapo. So amekiwa hapo, anaambiwa hey, press doesn't mean you press. Anaambiwa we are already past the 21st century. So wewe you're still there, you're still yet to evolve completely. That's what they're telling this guy. This professor who sits somewhere as PS somewhere. Uja evolve enough ndo maana unasumbua press. You're backward. Lakini hii cartoon imesema wachana na press na uvae viatu.
Hata umekasirika sana.
Hata mimi nimekasirika, wacha niwachane na wewe.
The Star, her caricature here of Education PS Belio Kipsang, na amechorwa hapo ndani ya CBC. Compulsory mathematics in that compulsory imekuwa cancelled. Wanasema STEM pia imekuwa cancelled. That is science, tech, engineering and mathematics cancelled. Now what happens?
Right. It's a big discussion on whether or not mathematics should still be compulsory.
Yes.
Now that the grade 9 are moving to senior secondary. After the break, we'll be having these 4 individuals in studio: Wilson Sosion, Kathy Rungu, Dr. Peter Mbai, and Arnold Maliba. Panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Do stand by for that. Later on the show,
it's Health Thursday. We are talking matters endometriosis, understanding what it really is, with Dr. Aida Wanjiku, that is OBGYN, Kenya Obstetrical and Gynecological Society of Kenya.
right? It's also Thursday, so a Fitness Thursday coming your way at around 9 a.m. Do stand by for that and a lot more.
Interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. On X at TV47 News KE, my handle is at @N_Odida.
My handle is at Fred Indimuli.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water.
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upwards, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9.
One.
Back. Good morning once again. My name is Freddie Ndemuli. This is definitely TV47, the Morning Cafe. Time for State of the Nation, a look at the big headlines. On the front page of the Daily Nation, briefcase firm awarded 1 billion shillings for state land. That's a big story. But then the other story given prominence on that front page is Ruto readies to face a hostile Mount Kenya. The president is set for a 7-day tour of the Mount Kenya region. He has stayed away from that region since, I think, October or September last year. This will be happening in April. It will form one of our biggest discussions coming up. On the front page of the Standard, pain, suffering, fury. Discussions still around the Social Health Authority, and more than 1 million teachers, police and their dependents have been left to their own devices after hospitals refuse to treat them on government insurance. We'll be coming to that later. Allow me to introduce my panelists this morning, beginning on my immediate right. Wilson Sossion, Mwalimu Wilson Sossion, who has served as a member of the National Assembly and also as the Secretary General of the National Union of Teachers, KNUT. Bwana Sossion, karibu sana. Kathy Rungu, political leader, also joins us this morning. Karibu.
Asante.
Dr. Peter Mbaye, leadership and governance expert, is with us this morning. And Arnold Maliba makes a comeback with a different title this time. Party leader, Progressive Plus Alliance.
It's Progress Plus.
Progress Plus Alliance.
Yeah.
We'll have to get used to that new party and the name. He was previously serving as a strategic communications advisor at UDA. You'll tell us more about what happened there.
That was last year.
That is still a major shift.
You must clarify.
Yes. So as we start, because we have Mwalimu here with us, let's talk about matters education. It is not on our front pages today, but it's captured on the cartoon on the Star. What's happening with the CBC and the debate on whether or not mathematics as a subject should be compulsory going forward. The debate around CBC and the first cohort, grade 9, anticipating to go into senior secondary next year, with the pathways as designed in the CBC, the social or humanities vis-a-vis STEM. And many Kenyans are not used to this kind of discussion, where you can have mathematics as an optional subject. You are an educationist, Bwana Sossion. What is your feeling about what's happening with the CBC?
I think I've made my position known all along about the rollout of CBC, that the manner in which it was conceived and the missteps, the professional processes and steps were not followed. That's why we'll keep getting into headwinds, even as we get to the different levels, particularly transition to JS. And therefore there is need. The President signed the Education Charter on 23rd of June 2022. One of the decision is to extensively review the rollout of CBC so that we can get a curriculum model that works and that which addresses the needs of Kenya and that which does not have unnecessary inconveniences. So the decision to have 4 core subjects, that is English, and that is languages, community service, PE, and remove mathematics as a compulsory subject or a core subject is a tragic mistake. In all curriculum all over the world, the strongest curriculum, the foundational subjects, 2 foundational subjects, or rather foundational subjects, are almost basically 3. It is mathematics, topmost as number 1, and it is a language and a science. That is what all education systems are implementing. The senior secondary is not high school, neither is it higher education. It is still part of basic education. And during the Moi era, when we started 844, we shifted from other ordinary mathematics, the alternatives and the rest, general mathematics, to do pure maths and applied maths, because we needed graduates who are well-grounded in science education and mathematics. We also shifted from general science, from physical science to pure science. So really, we've mounted the most competitive curriculum in terms of teaching of sciences and maths. So for me, making mathematics an option for the pathways of sports and arts and the pathway of humanities is a wrong thing. What we may need is to reintroduce the STEM pathway can continue doing pure maths as a requirement and applied mathematics. That would be good for the STEM students. But for the other students, they still need mathematics. There is no way you cannot meet mathematics. Even you as a journalist, if you're doing your masters and whatever, there will be aspects of statistics and mathematics. Maths is life. You meet it everywhere. So I think we need to design some form of mathematics that are applicable and that are relevant to the pathways. Whether you call it, and you have different maths pathways, so that whether you called it alternative, whether you call it, remember during A levels there was what you call subsidiary mathematics, and I was able to take subsidiary mathematics to complement the subject combinations I had, for example. So it is possible to design a more friendly, applicable model of mathematics for the other pathways, and still make it compulsory, because it is core. We cannot dream of producing globally competitive human resources when we are dismantling a curriculum that is the foundation.
Thank you so much for that, Bwana Sosion, because from an educationist standpoint, he has painted a picture of why mathematics is necessary. But this is 7 years into this new curriculum, Kathy, and the feeling is that we come up with these radical designs about very crucial sectors, or the system that runs very crucial sectors of our society, be it health, with the Social Health Authority, and now education with the rollout of a new curriculum. But years later, it still appears it is half-baked. We still do not agree on how it should work. What is so wrong with us? Even months after the rollout of SHA, we're still seeing on the front pages that there's pain, suffering, and fury.
I think we seem to be making very rushed decisions.
And apparently most of these decisions are made by the executive. I remember when CBC was introduced during the last regime, and everybody, I think even myself, I actually thought it would come with some solutions that I had actually highlighted as an individual as wanting, because being competence-based, I expected it to be more practical. But as a mother and as a Kenyan, I feel like children, we are actually making our children very lazy, because we, all the time, the child will come back home and they expect you to participate even in their simple assignments and homework. People raised a lot of concerns, and I remember even Mwalimu Sosioni here at that particular time saying that CBC cannot work. But we politicized the matter so much until we didn't have an option, and we had actually to succumb and start implementing the same. When you look at SHA, the same happened, you know. It's like the executive, they told us that we actually moving from NHIF to SHA, that would work better. And the whole issue again was politicized. And we all believed that SHA was going to be better than NHIF. But when you look at it today and you listen to the struggles of Kenyans, then you realize really, one, this more than meets the eye, and secondly, it's still too wanting. And there are a lot of gaps, there are a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of wastage. And actually, wastage is in both the new curriculum, the new education curriculum, and also with SHA. Because when you look at both of them, two things are actually prominent in there. One is the wastage of resources. You'll pick a scandal here, a scandal there, associated with both. The second thing that will happen is that the common mwananchi will always keep complaining, and they will say that they're forced to dig deeper into their pockets. In an economy like this, where, you know, majority of our people live in, we survive on very little money, how do you expect people to dig deeper just to sustain basics like education and health? Right. So really, we need to revisit, we need to relook at them.
Dr. Bai, from a governance perspective, there appears to be a disconnect between the political class and what the society needs. That the political class, however well-meaning, may come up with radical or drastic changes in key systems that run key sectors, health and education. But implementing the same, that's where the problem is. Then we find ourselves with half-baked systems like this one.
Thank you, Fred. When you talk about governance, government is about systems. Government is always about institutions, systems, processes, procedures working. So we always say, if you must change a system, if you come to government, remember, politicians come to government. It's politicians who fight government. Government is always there. We have had government since, actually even before independence, we had a government, the colonial government. It's a system thing, it's an institutional thing. So if you must change a system you found in government, it must be absolutely clear it is needful. And it serves the interest of the public. That's number one principle. So number two, why is it that maybe for this government, we have had very radical changes on very major systemic issues, institutional issues, so many of them. You know, housing, health, university funding model, now this one. Now, for example, who came up with this? Where is the study? That's all the question we're asking, without going to the details of the technical issues on whether or not to drop mathematics.
Although CBC did not just start with this administration, it started in 2017.
And the same question for me is a principle. Is a principle of what was it really necessary? For me, that's a question I'm asking, because anything that happens when you change a system, it involves a lot of money, a lot of issues affecting so many people. So that's the first question I'm asking. Was it really done? Now, here it comes. We have this pronouncement. The question is, there is issue of communication. Involve the stakeholders. If you must change anything, let people know. And please, but the mistake that happens, Fred, is that once government is in power, they think that for some reasons, maybe personal interest or otherwise, they have to push in through something. Now, therefore, the voice of the court, people will go to court, everything will happen, but they will, the government will lie over and say, no, we have decided because of other interpersonal interests. And that's where the problem happens. That's where disconnect happens between the governors, with the people in government, and the governed. That's where disconnect comes in, because people begin complaining. But coming to this issue particularly, Fred, this is my thinking. We know that in the international curriculum, mathematics in the senior level is optional. We also know that. Anyway, it's optional. You can decide to, because the thinking is that by the time you are in the junior secondary, you have more or less picked your pathway. You know which way you are going to take. If it's sports, if it's some other careers that may not necessarily, I'm saying very conservative, may not necessarily need mathematics. But now that choice is a very delicate path, because we know mathematics is mathematics. We did not that we didn't pursue mathematics in our university or college level, but we did it up to some point so that you can make a decision on what you want to pursue afterwards. So my question is, this is a balancing thing that needs a lot of engagement. The problem I would have, Fred, is when a pronouncement is made in Nairobi by a certain CS, when the people who are supposed to consume that information or directive don't know, have no idea how it will be implemented. That is all my issue. Okay. And that's where always across the world, maybe in Africa more, that's where always government gets it wrong. The issue of communication, the issue of moving around with the people, the stakeholders, the kids, the students, the teachers. Why should a pronouncement be made? And then even among the stakeholders, there's so much uproar because communication is wrong. Right. There are people who think that this should be done by whichever. Then the people begin suspecting, why was that pronouncement made? Is there some people who want to benefit elsewhere? Is there some people who want to benefit from this or that? Now, the issue of the mix-up of personal interest and lack of communication, miscommunication, and communication, that's what brings all the trouble. Okay.
We have a communications expert with us here, Arnold Maliba. Arnold, I am a parent. I'm a grade 9 parent. And the kind of confusion that I experience in trying to understand what's happening has persisted for the last 7 years since the rollout of the CBC. Bona Mbai says there's an issue of communication. Is this the same problem across all systems that the government has sought to change, including SHA, which is still on the front page, that people are still confused about?
I think government has got so many communicators and very little communication. I don't know that that is by design, because also the biggest problem has been that there is a conflation that journalism is equivalent or is equals to communication. So you have got a lot of journalists employed by government, but they simply cannot communicate. There's a reason why communication is a subject on its own and journalism stands out alone. So that is one of the biggest failures of this regime. Whether it's by design or not, it's something that probably we will have to study further. And it speaks to even the issues about, for example, mathematics that Mwalim Sosiono was talking about. You know, the language of the universe is physics. But physics cannot be possible without mathematics, because mathematics is actually the basis, the foundation upon which physics then is actually founded. So if you're going to survive and do anything, I'm even surprised when Doc says here that at advanced level you don't do maths. Math has got a way of actually just changing clothes, whether it is quantitative techniques, whether you're calling it calculus, whatever you're calling it, math has a way of showing up in very different ways. There's literally no subject today at advanced level that we're going to do that wouldn't really, math wouldn't show up in one way or the other. Unless we really want to bring up a generation that looks like Americans when it comes to geography. They don't know whether Africa is in Nigeria. Totally, as in we cannot become a population that people are going to laugh at. So I have seen the president also speak about this. Initially when I was there, I think at some point I spoke about government failure in communication. And the president also spoke to that. But somehow nothing happens. There is no alternative. As in, we can talk about it, but nothing actually happens. Today, you will actually see the government spokesperson do a press and you guys will not even report. He can do an update on what the government is doing and you guys never report anything. So it's something that he really needs to look up to, because to give them, to be fair to them actually, there is so much work that they've actually been able to do. But it's poorly being communicated and they're not doing anything about it. So I don't know that the president is the only communicator in government today, as it were, and everybody else is just there to actually cheer him on. Mm-hmm. So I'm not in a place where now I can actually do advisory work to the government. I can only just
and probably clarify on that because now you come here and as the party leader, Progress Plus Alliance.
Yes.
We've previously known that you worked with this administration as a strategic communications advisor.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time you're getting to explain yourself on Morning Cafe.
Not really. I've actually done, on Morning Cafe you've refused to call me here, but I've done it elsewhere.
You're here with us. What happened?
Ever since I became a party leader, you refused to call me, but then... here we are.
You're here now, Karibu.
Well, nothing really happened, but I think we are 2.5 years to the next election, and we have to prepare for where we are going. I have had my chance to actually do a little work with UDA, worked with them. I think it has actually been a very wonderful experience for me, because a lot of times, if you do not get a chance to work on some of these things, you don't get better. So for me, that is an opportunity I will actually always be grateful for, because it's prepared me for much better. But generally, I think that for the third republic, whether you call it the third or sixth, depending on how you want to look at it, is that we probably need a little bit of a different thinking and a preparation of my generation, a party that understands my generation, and moving forward, because we are not going to solve the problem of my generation with the same thinking that created them. So I believe that at diagnostics level, the Kenya Kwanza administration got it so well. The bottom-up economic thinking, any other person who's coming to try get into power and not have that as a framework of how you actually move the country forward will be lying to us. So at diagnostics level, they did very well. The challenge has been at implementation, but that is an issue of leadership. And since I'm actually elsewhere building a party that also wants to capture power and administer state, I wouldn't be in the business of advising them on how to do it.
And you've painted the UDA and you're working with them in a nice picture. But does it mean now you've severed links completely with Kenya Kwanza, or is the Progress Plus Alliance affiliated still to UDA and Kenya Kwanza?
No, we are not affiliated to UDA or Kenya Kwanza. We are a new party that is putting its house in order, and we purpose, by the way, to field everybody from the presidency.
So this is like a defection from UDA?
It's not necessarily a defection. Article 38 rights apply to all of us, and defection should not necessarily be looked at as anything that is actually negative. So there is nothing that happened. Watch it on a gossip. Let's just...
No, I mean, what Arnold is saying, in a very diplomatic way, I like his diplomacy, is that he's done with UDA and Kenya Kwanza, and he's joining the other coalition, the loyal opposition. That's what he's saying in another way.
No, I'm actually here. I can actually speak for myself. And I'm just happy that I've actually been able to learn. One of those things, of course, I aspire to be president someday, and I don't think that I have got so much time to prepare for that. This is the time to start. I've had a learning experience with Kenya Kwanza, and I'm so happy that I had that experience. So we move forward. And by the way, when you get to the other side, there's also this framing, and the media really pushes that at the moment we only have got two sides from where Kenyans can actually choose. That you are either now with the BBG, the broad-based government, or you are with the Rigathi coalition. That, I think, also is fundamentally flawed, and we are forcing a narrative, thinking that we cannot have another alternative to a nation.
Okay.
A country of 57 million people, honestly, you cannot limit the choices of the people. And by the way, the media does that so well. They frame that so well, so that then you end up with just two options, because you've been socialized to think that way.
And that kind of confusion, I think, has been very clear this week, especially after the former chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Nyoro, came out to give a press briefing to try and explain his position. And the question has been, where exactly are you? So it's part of the stories we covered here at TV47. Nyoro, is he a lone ranger or a project? Let's watch that story and then come back and discuss it.
Rais wetu tumefurahi sana kuwa na wewe hapa siku ya leo.
Once a close ally of President William Ruto, both before and after the Kenya Kwanza government was formed, Kiharu MP Ndende Nyoro is now cutting the image of a politically isolated figure.
281.
On October 8, 2024, Nyoro was among 18 MPs who skipped Parliament's crucial vote to impeach former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, a conspicuous absence that raised eyebrows. Since then, he has remained on the periphery, neither fully backing President William Ruto's decision or openly aligning himself with Gachagua's camp.
Respectively though, usinibebe vibaya.
And when the much-awaited moment came, his Tuesday press briefing, Nyoro dodged the big question, failing to declare his political stand. A move that left political pundits and his constituents gazing.
But yesterday was a total disappointment. So he called a press conference to talk about how he goes to graduate schools. So what's that? He's not the only one who has gone to a graduate school. There are many people. So he lost the momentum at the time. maybe because people had been made to believe that he was going to make a major announcement, and he did not. So that in itself was a major disappointment.
According to political analyst and historian Macharia Munene, it will be possible that there were external forces using Ndindi Nyoro as a project to destabilize Mount Kenya region, reflecting how former President Daniel Moi funded opposition to subvert the vote-rich region in 1992.
Wanjiku is still looking for somebody who can stand up for them. And Dede did not. In his major conference. And Dede should be careful that he doesn't end up looking like Peter Kenneth or even Moite, who was very popular among the voters in Kikuyu, or even Martha. So he needs better advice, whoever is advising him.
Murang'a County Senator Joe Nyoto is on record highlighting that through Gachagwa's impeachment, there is a deliberate scheme to divide the region and water down its political relevance. However, during an interview with TV47 on Wednesday morning, Nyoto denied that Nyoro was President William Ruto's project in the Mount Kenya region, pointing out that the two were reading from different scripts.
And, he's a very sober person. I think he's a teetotaler. And so I do not want to cast aspersions about him in any way. I may not know of maybe any plans that he's William Ruto's project. I want to trust that that is not true.
And that's why when Ndedi said he wanted a press conference, there were expectations that he might say something that might say, okay, the young man seems to know what he's doing. Yeah? He's got some sense. Yeah? But since he did not do that, and in the mountain region, there is a lot of disappointment with the president, a lot of unhappiness. And whoever is advising the president, if there is anyone, is misadvising him.
Nyoro's woes escalated when police and chiefs boycotted an event to open an NGCDF-sponsored Assistant County Commissioner's office in Kihara constituency Wednesday. Area residents asking government to shy away from politicizing development projects.
Wale wote siku ya leo ambao maofficers wenye tulikuwa tunakuja kufungulia hii ofisi ya Assistant County Commissioner, sisi kama wakaaji wa hapa town tumekasirika sana.
Hivyo venye wao wanakupiga huko juu, ndivyo sisi tuendelea kukupenda.
Na mimi sina shida na mtu afanye kazi yake, mimi nafanya yangu, yule mwingine yake, kwa sababu wananchi ndio tunatumikia.
Pundits, however, says President William Ruto's cards to woo back Mount Kenya region would only depend on reducing tax burden and the pension cost of living. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
You're either with us or against us. That seems to be the kind of thinking among the political class. Even Dr. Mbaye quickly felt that now that Arnold Maliba is not with the government, he's definitely on the other side. Do you feel that is what is happening? That simply because he abstained from that vote, he did not vote for
abstaining
the other way?
from voting is a personal choice. Mm-hmm. He took his own personal
but he's being punished for it.
Yeah. And took a personal choice. That is one. Two, who is Ndindi Nyoro to all of us in Kenya? He's one of the best performing members of parliament. That's a fact. You know, if we get empirical and we become truthful without maligning anybody, I think he has done very well as a member of parliament of Kiharu constituency. He has done very well in conceiving models of delivering education in terms of quality infrastructure, turning around the quality of infrastructure to state-of-the-art in primary schools, and reducing the cost of delivery of education in day schools to almost 1,000 shillings. To me, and to many teachers and those of us in the education space, he's doing what very few people have ever done before. That is one. Two, in the political space of Kenya Kwanza, and I know around the president, Ndindi Nyoro is a good leader by any standards. He is. And I don't think Ndindi Nyoro is getting anywhere out of Kenya today and tomorrow. And the fact that is out of...
What exactly are you saying?
The fact that, yes,
he still enjoys the kind of...
No, you brought Ndindi Nyoro. I'm discussing. I'm talking about Ndindi Nyoro, the man I know. Yes.
He appears to be punished. He's being punished and being removed from the chair.
No. You want me to talk about what is your mind? What is in your mind? I'm not talking about what is in your mind.
Saying. That is
You've brought Ndindi Nyoro as a subject for discussion. Yes. And myself as Wilson Sosyan, I can describe how best I know him. Without being biased and without looking at other issues elsewhere, is out of the chair budget committee of the National Assembly. He did not submit nomination papers to be elected as the chair of the budget. Mm-hmm. And I know you are reading too much. There could be other issues, but then I cannot discuss political differences at certain levels. That one I will refrain from doing so. But I dare say,
it is either you're with us or against us. That's
allow me, Fred, to conclude.
If you remain non-committal in this political space, you get punished for it.
Of course, and that is how politics gets played in this country. Not now, not Uhuru's tenure, not Kibaki's, all along. And clearly, as we all know, and I agree with my colleague here, Nyoro is one very independent individual. I only felt a bit uneasy when I saw some members of parliament from the broad-based government castigate him and even say that the work that he has been able to do in Kiharu is because he was the chair of budget and therefore he was allocating some extra funds to himself. I don't think that is true, because when you look at Nyoro, really, he started doing this work even before he became the chair of budget. It's someone I know, and I think he's really done some good job. But then, as it were, politics is just politics. You're either with the broad-based government or on the other side. I want to...
There cannot be anything in between.
No, there can be something in between. The assumption is you're either with us or against us. And when you're against us, I think in Kenya today, if you're against them, then you're seen to be in the on the other side of Kalonzo, Rigathi, Martha, blah, blah, blah. But I think we also need to start appreciating that there can also be a third force. There can also be another group of emerging leaders who think differently, and perhaps they don't belong to either side. And maybe that is where Nyoro belongs. To me, maybe that is where he belongs.
Traditionally, third forces have not done so well in Kenya. Dr. Mbaye, do you believe that he's either with the government or heading towards Nyoro?
I think, one, I must say from the word go that let Ndindi Nyoro be. People should not second guess him. There was no harm in coming on his last day as the chair of budget to bid bye-bye for the state and the people officially. That was it. That was meant to be that. In communication, we communicate in phases. There is what you will communicate in December and what you want to communicate now. So for me, I would want people not to think so much of. But let me tell you the pain that is there. Number two, it was quite unnecessary, of course, what happened. You don't allow, you don't, somebody like Nyoro who did what he did, you don't go parade him in parliament to begin, if you want to remove him. And by the way, Sosion, for the last time maybe, let's bring this topic to the end. Chairs are distributed in high levels and they are dished down for people to go and pick them. They are picked, they are not elected. There's nothing like that in Kenya. So you go, they are dished down. Yeah. So especially, we know what happened. So let's not go there. But then the fundamental issue here is, Dede will communicate when he wants to communicate about the next issue. And he said, if it was about politics, he would not have called people in a government office where he is quitting. I don't think that's a big issue. But you see how government is trying to play. One, they attack him in parliament. Then they go and, finally they will sit in that office. Finally, it is their office, built by taxpayers' money. So it's a zero-sum game. But I want to be very clear. I don't believe that necessarily we must box Kenyans into two coalitions. We have the broad-based, like Arnold said. It's not called a Gachagua coalition. It's called the loyal opposition. There is opposition, which is running away from opposition, and there is the loyal opposition, which is loyal opposition. So I don't believe so. There could be a third force, a fourth force. But finally, like it happens in mature democracies, finally, there tends to be two, let me call leading candidates. I'm just saying that without respect to every other person, like Arnold here, who has a dream of, fielding candidates from in all positions in Kenya. And one day, that is democracy. That's a beautiful day. But let me say this.
But we're not there yet.
But let me, we are heading there. But let me say this, Fred. The pain today the downfall of Nyoro from the committee, even after being neutral, right? It is the last signal that the president and this government is done with Mount Kenya. Let me tell you why. Nyoro and Kimani Ichung'wah were the two people who never missed for 2 years in the presidential campaigns. Mm-hmm. They went to every village. So according to the mountain, the fact that the guy, the MP has been done what has been done to him is the last signal that for real, even if they had said that maybe the problem was with the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, it is clear that indeed the system has more problems with many people from Mount Kenya. This is a signal. Now, the pain that is there is this, Fred, allow me to say this. Look, from what me and you know about 07 happened, then 2013 happened in my home county of Nakuru, right? Then the Mount Kenya said, no, we are back now. And President Ruto, then the deputy, worked so hard to help President Uhuru Kenyatta to win the presidency for 2 terms. Out of that, the common Mount Kenya said, we must then back the president because of what he did. Again, define Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the son of Mount Kenya, hoping that it will go that way. Now, the Mount Kenya people went and gave 3.2 million votes, right? Against 1.5 that, of course, went to Uhuru Kenyatta. But now, the major historic betrayal happens, Fred. And the signal people around that, one of them was Nyoro. Now, so the people are saying, we did what we did. There's nothing wrong we did. As Mount Kenya, we did our best. And I can tell you this. The Mount Kenya decided to vote in the President Ruto on the day of the handshake. The day they did the handshake, that's when Mount Kenya decided we are going to vote Ruto. But I can tell you today, because you were there. The moment Rigathi Gachagua was removed, and what happened to the chairman in Mount Kenya, the Mount Kenya have decided, at least they know who not to give the presidency. Okay. About 6 or 7 million votes. That is the whole issue about Nyoro. And he's playing very well to capture the emotions of the people. Okay. And finally, when he makes a decisions, I don't think Nyoro can be used to divide the vote of Mount Kenya. That one I don't think.
All right. But
I think I would like to respond to that just okay. Very briefly. There's a mistake that the people of Mount Kenya are making right now. This talk that they keep lamenting, and there's a repetition of this, especially on national TV, like where we are today. What is this so very, very big deal about Mount Kenya? I mean, Mount Kenya is part of Kenya. Yes. And we can never, every day we wake up, and that is being done very well by the former deputy president, and of course all the people that are following him, that is the song they keep singing. The risk of that and what they are doing to us, because I also come from Mount Kenya region, is that they are alienating all of us from the nation called Kenya. And it is wrong. Okay. It is wrong. Okay. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to service delivery, when it comes to payment of taxes, and we contribute to the taxes that are paid in this country, I think the Mount Kenya region does a fair share of that. All right.
I think to give this issue some justice, the Kenya Kwanza administration was able to do something that other administrations hadn't done earlier, and that was to move away from politics of identity to politics of issues.
Yes.
That you can never take away from William Ruto in 2022. That for the longest time we had been about tribes. You know, as a country, we love identities, and we voted along identities, whether it is religion, the region you come from, ethnicity, and that. The people of Mount Kenya did not vote for William Ruto around any ethnic mobilization in 2022. They didn't even vote for William Ruto because he had Rigathi Gachagua. Because William Ruto sold them an idea. It was politics of ideas. They followed an idea. That's why they voted for William Ruto. But what she's bringing to fore, and what we actually need to say, is that after last year, the political class, including the president, have actually moved into full gear to re-ethnicize the country. And they are doing it unashamedly. William Ruto has moved away from what he sold us. By the way, you see, the country embraced the politics of issues and abandoned if you look at the demonstrations last year, they were purely about issues, even though the political class tried to spin and politicize them and try to give them identities, but it was about issues. The people of Kenya embraced the politics of issues and even overtook the political class. So there's an attempt to re-ethnicize our body polity, and it's actually a shame. Okay. And having said that, let me move quickly and say this. I know this is premature, but because we are already discussing it here, there is a new platform. It's being called the National Alternative Alliance, that is neither the broad-based government or what he calls the loyal opposition. I think in a week or so they will actually be making their responses. But because we're talking about Ndindi Nyoro, allow me to say this. If you've looked at how Ndindi Nyoro has actually worked in the past, he missed a moment, but that is his day. Everybody else expected that he was going to make a pronouncement. You remember he said that the last time he spoke to the president was before October 2024. That's the last time. It's him saying on TV that day that the last time he spoke to the president directly is in October 2024. He's part and parcel of the casualties of the Gachagua impeachment because he refused to pick a position. And that, of course, in politics, it has got consequences. So we cannot go around and pretend like we don't know why he's being shown the door. And when a hyena wants to eat its children, it accuses them of smelling like goats. So when you saw Kimani Ichung'wah, a very good friend to Ndindi Nyoro, coming out and saying, or rather bashing him the way they did, and then there was Junet on that particular end. They were preparing him, of course, for slaughter. The hyena will accuse its children of smelling like goats and then eat them. So even if he didn't submit his papers, already he knew what his fate was. But I think Ndindi Nyoro was prepared to make a pronouncement, but he received a call. Something otherwise, allow me to finish kindly. Allow me to finish. Otherwise, he made it look like there was, and Ndindi Nyoro is not a man given to blabber. He doesn't make false moves. We don't know him for that. So he called a press statement and said a lot of nothing. Mm-hmm. If it was a dipstick test, just to get a feel of it, he did not have you guys did not take all those cameras there. His table was full of microphones, a heap of them. You didn't show up because you wanted him to tell you about how he was handing over. There was something he was supposed to say, but Ndindi, something changed. Something happened, and he therefore could not cancel it. Because in this particular administration, there has been a lot of people receiving a little bit of the fear of God and the terror of the devil, depending on which you can take. So probably a call was made, a loan, a debt, or something was made. And
just some clarification. Masharia Monene opines that Ndindi Nyoro could very easily end up as Peter Kenneth.
For some clarification. Just some clarification maybe before we go to Mwalimu. Just for some clarification. Very briefly. Very briefly. Sorry, please. I want, from where I sit, we are here to do analysis and a good one. We all are saying that the journal is independent. How then do we think he got a call at the last minute? For me, I don't think so. Why are we second guessing? By the way, Fred, let me ask you a question. Why are we in a hurry to cause Dede to say something?
Because the press briefing was very underwhelming. Even him, he was struggling with his words.
Number two, because of what she said. I want to be very categorical. Fred, Mount Kenya, like any other region, pays taxes to date. Yes. And a good portion of it. So the development that Kenya Kwanza is supposed to do across the country, Mount Kenya included, has nothing to do with,
and we'll come back to Mount Kenya because the president.
Because he's gone there. So I just want to say that Mount Kenya is not alienating. Please, it's not alienating from the rest of the country. Okay. There is some common problems affecting every Kenyan. That's where we'll be back.
We'll be back to take a look at that.
Now, Fred, it's very sad that we are trying to stereotype a region and create some bit of ethnic division and demarcation of the country, and we are creating states within a state by the way we are trying to argue here. This is a unitary state, and trying to advance some divisive agenda which looks more or less like blackmail. Blackmail is not going to operate within our democratic systems, where now we are elevating the country to a country of issues as enshrined in Vision 2030. And therefore, the political ecosystem that exists in the country, and the president is very firm about it. The president has not dropped the ball in de-ethnicizing the country and pushing the political agenda of inclusivity and for all. Even when you look at the rollout of the broad-based government, The president is very deliberate. So trying to create that Mount Kenya is under attack is indeed
Are you saying the reality that
and
was
in
there
the fullness of time? Yes.
Even now.
Pardon?
The reality that was there in 2022, immediately after the election.
The reality in 2022 remains the same, and the president is not going to drop Mount Kenya for whatsoever. It's a priority area of interest for him, and he will visit Mount Kenya. And
the same promises made in
and Fred, allow me to finish. Fred, allow me to finish.
That it persists even till now.
I believe the president has a keen interest in the Mount Kenya region. These are people who gave him votes. And as it were, you know, he's actually going there, I think next week but one. He's definitely going there to take development. So he cannot ignore a vote-rich region like Mount Kenya and say, now that this is the feeling or the sentiment that are coming from the ground. But then, when we talk about Mount Kenya region and say that the Mount Kenya region is dissatisfied, who are we talking about? Because actually, in this country, we must actually wake up from this slumber or the jokes that we keep spreading around. I don't think it's an entire Mount Kenya region that has a problem with the leadership. If people are discontent, just like it is across the country, people have issues that they have raised around SHA, around the funding model for the university and all that. That is those are global issues. But when it comes to this issue of Mount Kenya, it's actually a Rigathi Gachagua issue, which he has and Daktari
But it is a real issue, we must agree.
No, but Daktari mentioned here that there's a bit of whipping of emotions that we have kept discussing with you all this time, and you remember we've had that discussion with you before, where politicians will come and say, we are being targeted, but the targeting is not on, it's not really on the region. It's someone's problem, and they want to export them to the region and make them look like it's a global or even it's a regional problem. Gashagua's problems are really Gashagua's problem.
If it was Gashagua's problem, then the president, who before the impeachment had made at least a trip to the Mount Kenya region every month, would not have stayed away from that same region for that long.
The incitement and the divisive politics that have been played since October has actually what that has done, it had made the ground very toxic. But if you look at things as they right now, do you think that is the same thing
what made the
that
ground
is
toxic?
holding?
What made the ground toxic?
The whipping of emotions.
By impeachment.
No, it's the whipping of emotions, because the individual was impeached based on, disciplinary issues, corruption and other things that had been mentioned, and he went to court, and the court could not, actually even the court could not save him. So really, it's a personal issue.
Very personal. So Fred, let's talk here very calmly and to be very clear, and we are here to do proper analysis. Number one, if it was a Gachagua issue, all the chairmen of committees that then were removed because they followed Gachagua, Honorable Gachagua, Rigathi Gachagua, then the president would have looked for alternatives if he loved Mount Kenya. We are going slowly. We have to look at talk and action. Number two, Mount Kenya, what it does, something which escaped the system, is that when they give votes and they donate, and they say, the deputy president is Rigathi Gachagua and is the one next in command, they trust and they follow him. That is a miscalculation that the system did. So they thought, because of whatever happened, I keep on saying, whatever happens in the bedroom between the father and the mother, we don't know. We don't know for sure what happened. But remember, there were issues between the former president and the current deputy president from 2015. You and I were in this country. When there were some ministers who were sacked, you and I know who are they. That is when the disconnect started between the former president but the former president Uhuru Kenyatta knew the political risks of tampering with the arrangement between him and I'm saying this because I've been in this country. I'm an expert of politics, leadership and governance and how they connect to each other. So President Uhuru Kenyatta decided, I can't do this politically, it's not right. So he waited to do the handshake during his second term when he was going not to vie. When he was not going to vie to defend 2022. Now quickly. This time around, the gap was, whatever happened between them, the president couldn't just hold on because he thought, I'll deal with an individual. Unfortunately, it backfired. I can tell you today. Fred, talking to you right now, 90%, we were there in 2018 when we started the move towards supporting the current president against Uhuru Kenyatta. I can tell you today, 95% of Mount Kenya, they are so bitter, angry, and they feel betrayed properly. because they gave their hopes and they were told, don't have a party. Come the way you are, you know, the way you go to bed without clothes and all that. Eh? Come the way you are, I'm going to take it. We are brothers, right? So that betrayal is so deep. I can tell you, let's talk here. So we are saying there's nobody who has done this talk of ethnicization and tribalism, Fred, is cooked somewhere and put on Mount Kenya. Any leader talking about tribalism, they begin saying it is Mount Kenya. But it was started by an MP in a presidential tour who said, we are going to gang all the communities against Mount Kenya. Now, Fred, this Mount Kenya you are talking about is a Mount Kenya that defied their own son and voted 47% of the total vote to vote for President Ruto, who is not from Mount Kenya. Let us be fair. And I want anybody talking about Mount Kenya to be very fair to Mount Kenya, because what did they do wrong? The mistake was the differences between the two. The mistake that he did all what happened here during his first term. That is the biggest issue. Mount Kenya region is very calm. Mount Kenya people fear God and they love justice, and they don't do maandamano. So when you blame them, they wait for the right time.
Okay,
let me quickly first of all respond to Kathy's statement. Kathy says that when the president will be going to Mount Kenya, he will be taking development. That statement has got so many problems with it. On Monday, I know that a section of young people are planning to do a rally at Uhuru Park. The jobless young people planning a rally at Uhuru Park. I think the president should attend that rally as well, because I think the president is jobless. Why do I say the president is jobless? He's on top of the car roof campaigning. What is campaigning? Campaigning is looking for a job. So if, for example, Fred, you left your house girl to take care of your child at home, and then by the time you get to town, you find her selling ideas of how she can actually become a better house girl. Does she still have a job? So, principally, when you say that the president is going to Mount Kenya to take development, as in, we have got so much that the president should be doing, and not saying that if he goes to a place, that's how he's taking development. We cannot go back to Moi era way of thinking. But then on Mount Kenya, let's be fair to the people of Mount Kenya. Like I said earlier on, the people of Mount Kenya voted for William Ruto almost to a man because he sold them an idea. He sold them issues that they believed and they associated with. It should also be instrumental for us to actually note that the people of Mount Kenya left Kenya Kwanza. At least I was working at the party. They left Kenya Kwanza before Gachagua. In fact, one of the reasons why Gachagua was actually impeached is because the Mount Kenya people had already bolted. Rigathi Gachagua only followed the people. He properly became their leader after he left because the people felt disappointed on very many things. You know, there are issues we are not talking about, for example. The promises that were made, of course, the government had difficulties implementing some of them, but there was an overpromise, and that is one thing politicians need to learn. They overpromised, it became difficult, and the people of Mount Kenya moved away because, like he said, they love justice, they love honesty, and everything else. So, when the people left, and a few leaders felt like if we remain here, we are actually on our own. And that is why, by the way, for example, you realize somebody like Nyoro, for example, as much as Dr. here doesn't want us to second-guess Nyoro, he refused to take a position on the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, and he became silent. And for it, he has actually paid by, number one, being character assassinated, maligned, and done everything. And now he's been shown the door. He's now a lonely man out there. Whatever he decides to do, that is his choice to make. But the people of Mount Kenya bought into an idea that Kenya Kwanza sold. They bought it because Kenya Kwanza had very good salespeople. They sold it. But when they realized it wasn't forthcoming, they moved away. Mm-hmm. Issues of abduction, for example, are still a big issue. And Fred, you'll be surprised. Even as a person who's worked on that other side, early this week, a friend from within, from where I used to work, not in the party, but just within the statecraft, called me and told me that a lot of people think that abduction as a policy began after the Gen Z when the state felt threatened. And he told me, you probably didn't know, but abduction started in November 2022. And at that particular point, abductions were happening amongst themselves, that if you did a business deal and some other group elsewhere heard about it, you would be abducted until you give them money. So by the time they started abducting Gen Zs, they had been abducting each other for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And that's why you realize that even when the president promised in Homa Bay that he will be stopping that thing, he's not stopped. You've realized that the police appear helpless. Up to now, the police said that they were going to look into it. Have you seen even a special task force put together to stop, or rather to come up with a report on abductions? No. Yesterday, another activist we know so well, she came out humiliated, shaved her head and everything else. And we want to treat issues of human rights so lightly. Businesses were not working well. So people have got so many issues they are talking about, and the president has never missed a moment to get it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Like, for example, what is he going to do in Mount Kenya, knowing exactly how it looks like this particular week? And Kathy should not tell us that the president is going to take Maendeleo there. And before we need to get away from this mountain. We've been around this mountain thing for a very long now. You know,
we cannot really get away from it.
I want us to get away from it. So we should not say that the president is going there to take development. The people of Mount Kenya, when they left Kenya Kwanza, they had their own issues. It was about what was sold to them, and not even Rigathi Gachagua. So when we try to make Rigathi Gachagua look like he's a tribalist, we're doing projection. Because what is happening on the other side is that you can see there's an attempt to actually ensure that Luyas are consolidated as a team, then they will show up. The Luos are being consolidated under a certain umbrella and a certain leadership. We've gone back and we are recreating tribal overlords who then can actually congregate in a room. William Ruto is moving away from what he did. And that's why you realize that for Mount Kenya, even when the people of Mount Kenya are in government, if you're talking about just individuals, if it was just about an individual not being there, we have got Lee Kinyanjui, he's in government, but you can't feel him. You have got Kabogo. They have got so many seats, but it doesn't change a thing.
Let me stop you there. We take a short break. We'll be back to continue with this, Bwana Sosion. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth, as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today.
Morning Cafe. President William Ruto is getting ready for a trip to the Mount Kenya region, and that's why that remains a big discussion. In April, he's going to be there for 7 days. Where exactly he'll be going, we're not sure, but this is in the works. But the general feeling, Bwana Sosion, is that this problem with the Mount Kenya region, if we may call it a problem, was self-inflicted within the Kenya Kwanza administration. They caused the problem, and they've not been able to sort it out, or probably they mishandled the aftermath of the impeachment.
I think, Fred, you're also mishandling.
I'm asking you the question.
We are mishandling this conversation.
You don't want me to ask the question?
Fred, yeah, I will answer your question, but I'm beginning to respond. Yeah, that the whole issue in this political space is being mishandled. And what is happening is that individuals, persons, not tribe, not region, persons with selfish interest would like to blackmail the president for personal self-entitlement. And this is actually blackmail on the presidency. You want to reduce the president to pamper you as an individual because you are using the name of a region, that is wrong. And I think it is wrong for us here to try and drive divisive political agenda just to blackmail the president. And I think the president should be the president, and president of everybody, and president of the entire region of the country.
Stayed away from the Mount Kenya region since October last
for
year.
Mount Kenya, no, let me come to that. It has been explained clearly that there's been toxic and poisoning of Mount Kenya. It's deliberate. We've seen it. It is known.
Has anything changed now that he wants
it is
to go?
known by the people I'll call blackmailers who want to make personal economic gains as individuals using the name of the people of Mount Kenya. The president committed, and he has been traveling around the country, Fred. You saw he was in Western, he was in Northern Kenya, he was in Coast, he has been in Nairobi for a whole week. He will be in Mount Kenya because he's the president of Kenya.
Saying that the environment was toxic, that's why he couldn't go. What has changed now?
Let me answer you. And the president will visit Mount Kenya regardless, because he is the president. And Mount Kenya, to try and say, yeah, Mount Kenya people have gone. What figures are you using? Where have they gone? Have they gone out of Kenya? They are in Kenya and are free to express themselves. And that is why the president will go and meet them. And he will engage the way he has been engaged.
The environment has not changed,
all the best.
It still remains toxic. Was the president right in staying away from Mount Kenya for that long? Because you're saying the toxicity is still there, but now he feels that he can go.
The other day.
And after that, he didn't go back?
He was in Embu the other day. Is that not Mount Kenya? And he will be there. So trying to bring personal, individual interest to look like the mountain is under attack from the presidency is wrong. In fact, it's a crime. And let me tell you, the people of Mount Kenya voted in 2022, and I salute them because they didn't vote ethnically, they voted patriotically. And their decision was informed by communication by the president as a person. And that communication will be maintained. And those who sit around the president from Mount Kenya should not blackmail the president. And the president should kick them out in case they're doing that. And the president should do things for the people of Kenya, including Mount Kenya. And let me state, in this government, the broad-based government, there is the who is who from the mountain, represented fully in government. So this is a zero-sum story. However much you try to talk about it, it doesn't add up on the ground. And the president will continue engaging with Mount Kenya and all people of Kenya and bring in unity of the country. Why do you want to feel so entitled? Why do you as an individual, why do you allow individuals to feel so entitled that you want to push the president to exclude others from the rest of the country?
The Democratic Party has written to the Register of Political Parties indicating its intention to move out. The party leader is a member of cabinet who's no longer welcome.
Muturi.
And the other party members in parliament through that party are from the Mount Kenya region. That says something. They did not get out with Rigathi Gachagua. This is later.
Just a clarification.
What has changed in Mount Kenya region for the president to feel comfortable to go there now?
Okay. A clarification. The party leader of, or is it the chairman, Honorable Justin Muturi, who has written to ORPP saying
it's
that
the party officials who wrote.
Yeah. They have one member of parliament
from the Mount Kenya
current Bunge, for the member of parliament for Embu, Mbere South,
Mbere North,
Ruku. So and clearly throughout, and we have seen Justin Muturi do a couple of press conferences out there. He seems very dissatisfied. He's not happy with government. He's not happy with the executive, yet he's part of the executive. I think, in my observation, he's been inviting the president to sack him. When it didn't happen, when it didn't yield, now he's really desperate. He's really inviting the president to sack him. And for me, when I look at what is happening in Mount Kenya region, even going by what my brother here, Daktari, is saying, there's a feeling that from that side, from the people who are aligned to the former deputy president, that they are trying to, to shift away from government, and Muturi is trying to do exactly that. Why? Because I understand that Muturi is a candidate in the 2027 general election for the governor of Embu, and the opponent is on the other side. So it's pure calculation. It's pure political calculation, and it is actually personal. It's actually possible.
It doesn't speak to the general environment about Kenya region.
It doesn't.
So, but the question I had asked you was, what has changed? Has the president taken too long to go to
let me tell you
Kenya?
what has happened. When all this started, and I reminded you that we've been having this conversation with you for the last 4 months or more, is that toxicity, the levels of that toxicity was really high, and everybody was talking about it. If you observe, the people and the leader of that toxicity, whom we know very well, has also become very incoherent. The other day I listened to him and he said he has done a will for the community. I mean, who are you to do a will on behalf of the people of Mount Kenya? Really? So the incoherence with the people that are leading that army, that telling everybody that they are speaking for the mountain, and they are actually speaking for themselves. Because even someone to say that they have written...
So that is what has changed?
Yeah, that is what has changed. Okay. Total incoherence.
I think just a few things. Number one, people should not rush CS Muturi. I don't know why people want CS Muturi to say what they want him to say. Muturi is a CS and he's saying, can we discuss abductions? Simple. Why is somebody thinking about something else? Muturi has a voice, he has a whatever, and why should somebody wish Muturi to be out of cabinet? Why? He's a Kenyan like any other. So let's stop that one there. Number two, very quickly, and I want to put it very clear because personally, I'm a Kenyan. I'm born in a county where every community in Kenya lives, called Nakuru. So I was born from the day one knowing that I am just from one community, but there are other communities in Kenya. I want to say this just to demonstrate that. To demonstrate that, Fred, when Mount Kenya voted exclusively for William Ruto as a president, the Mount Kenya had agreed that they would give him 10 years. So in 27, Mount Kenya is not dying to have a presidential candidate or to be president, by the way. We have other communities in Kenya that are qualified to be president, right? So in our loyal opposition, we are going to pick other people. Mount Kenya may miss the president and the deputy just to show the line we are being driven that we are tribalist to prove somebody wrong. Number three, the visit to Mount Kenya. Fred, I want to say a few things. One, Mount Kenya people pay taxes, right? I said that before. Now, from where I sit in my previous job as in charge of delivery, projects should be budgeted for, Fred. Every ministry is supposed to have highlighted, what I call priority projects in each part of the country. 23 ministries in 47 counties. Whether the president goes to launch or not, to commission, they should be done and completed. If he is available, he goes to commission. So there was supposed to be a system where these are the projects, then the percentage of implementation. Once they are 100%, then is it the CS to go, is it the PS or the president? It should be across the country, and I'll say that to the end because that's my area. So what I'm saying here is, I saw 54 MPs met, right, to go and highlight the projects. Number one, the economic charters, every county signed with the president what needs to be done. And I'll give an example with the airport in Lanet, Nakuru, which is still waiting, right? Every county picked. So that is what ought to have been put in the budget. Every successive year, when it is done, it should not be a celebration, a ceremony that we are waiting for the president, for us to have development. The president must come. It's not, he may lack time, and then the projects must be completed. Not unless the MPs maybe went to say which CDF projects are completed. The ones the projects will go and launch. Otherwise, projects which have been going on should be going on. What the Mount Kenya people are saying is this: please, we want you to commission, make sure you look for money to finish the projects that were started by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, because major infrastructural projects stalled. That's what the Mount Kenya people are saying. It's that simple. So every part of this country deserves this. But what Kenyans will be asking, waiting, Mount Kenya, is, President, you told us you have problems with Rigathi Gachagua. Why did you make sure all the changes that happened in both Senate and National Assembly, Fred, only people from Mount Kenya lost their positions? That's a simple question about sharing of natural resources that the president will be asked the first day. And finally, people will be ferried, unfortunately. We don't want this confusion in Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is united, and like I said, you never see Mount Kenya people doing mandamanos. They wait for the right time to exercise their civil right in the ballot.
Right.
I think, like I said, as much as Mount Kenya is very significant and we've spent a lot of time like the children of Israel going around this mountain, it's important that we break camp and move on. But having said that, I will still say this about the mountain issue. That one of the reasons why UDA didn't conduct elections in Mount Kenya last year was because the region had already moved away. And the people of Mount Kenya do not have issue with Kenya Kwanza based on positions. Let us not trivialize it and make it about positions. They have got quite a number of PSS. They've got so many CSS. I don't think there's a region that has got so many CSS there. But the people on the ground have got issues because of the way the administration of the day managed the economy and how it handled issues that they had promised them. So the people moved on. All the other people that are now being said that they are trivializing and or rather they become ethnic and whatever, just followed the people. So, as of Muturi, for example, Muturi is raising a very serious issue. I've just told you that a friend of mine that I hadn't seen for a very long time but belongs to the regime in the statecraft called me and asked me, why? I've realized you moved. And then as we were discussing, he told me, do you know, by the way, abductions did not start with Gen Z. They started much earlier. The issue of abductions as an official policy is a serious one because some of my mentees, for example, were taken away. I've spoken about that here. And I think on abductions have been very consistent. My mentees in my former political leadership class that I actually had brought up, at least one of them was killed. So many of them were actually abducted. So if you see the people you've brought up and mentored and taken them through training, being actually persecuted for what they believe in and what you taught them, you are actually at a moral dilemma. You actually have to make a choice. So let us not really beat up the people of Mount Kenya because of the issue of a few leaders. If the administration today has got a problem with Rigathi Gachagua, it should not punish the people of Mount Kenya for that. The people of Mount Kenya have got legit and serious issues and questions they're asking. Like, for example, here, we can actually act like we don't know. The Hustler Fund that the administration promised is not the Hustler Fund that we gave young people, that we gave to the people out there. We ended up giving them a Fuliza, but when we were campaigning, we told them that we were going to do away with this Fuliza thing, but we created the same. So they have issues. Can we address those issues as opposed to bashing the whole region altogether? As of the president abstaining from Mount Kenya, the president abstained from Mount Kenya for a very long time. He went to Embu just to attach and go, and he left. And the president loves people. The president loves going to the ground. And that's what I'm thinking. When you talk about the young people who are going to the streets on Monday because of joblessness, doing a jobless rally, I think the president should attend because the president is doing nothing else other than campaigning. He's looking for a job. Okay. It's actually so serious. I think the president is going to Mount Kenya for content creation. The president has become a content creator. He's gone to Mount Kenya for crowd and clout chasing. Otherwise, so many of those things should be addressed easily in Nairobi. There were MCAs in Nairobi the other day, including MCAs from Mount Kenya. The president did not go to see them at KICC. He sent the minister for sports. And anaona MCAs ni kama mchezo, anawatumia waziri wa michezo. So that then they did very well to reject that. All right. Now, he wants to go to the ground and talk to the people on the ground. He had people who are from the ground. He didn't see them. So, I think as we move forward, Fred, there are serious things to talk about. Something has happened this year that is very, very serious. When the new American administration came into place, the Trump effect took, or rather has actually been working around. Yes.
I know you want us to move on, but let's stay here.
Allow me just allow me to execute this point.
Right.
USAID, the closure of USAID, for example, locally, it did away with 40,000 direct jobs, 40,000, and about 400 others that are dependent on NGOs. We're talking about over 89 billion shillings being chucked out of our economy. No one in parliament has spoken about that. You have got 40,000 middle class. Watu wanajua kizungu.
And I don't want us to lose the train of thought. And I'll come to give you time to talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it is wrong to try and trivialize the presidency and bastardize governance in this country simply because of selfish personal interest. All what we are getting here, the arguments, are more personal and of self-interest than that of the interest of the state. That's a fact, for example. If you supported the president as an individual, it doesn't mean you must blackmail the president to do your own personal interest. That is wrong, fundamentally wrong. Let the president be the president. And now it's time for Kenyans. Let the president be the president and lead the country the way he should. Right. This business of trying to blackmail, talking about this region and that and this is wrong. Okay. Kenyans came to the vote and voted for the president as individual on the basis of his agenda. Okay. And I think what we should be talking about here is how the agenda of agriculture, the agenda of MSME, the agenda of ICT, the agenda of housing, Hustler Fund is in MSME.
Allow me to guide. Allow me to guide.
Please correct the agenda of infrastructure, the agenda of education, which the president is so focused.
We only have
Let
about
us
10
not
minutes.
pull the president.
I'm dividing it
to engage
equally.
in trivial issues.
2.5 minutes.
Please allow us to correct that quickly.
2.5 minutes.
Let us allow the president to be the president. No one has stopped
Your 2.5 minutes have
from being
started.
the president. The president has refused to be the president. No one has refused to let the president be the president. The president has deliberately chosen to be jobless. He's campaigning and looking for a job when he has one. The president has decided to become a content creator. He's all over moving, all over singing Kasongo and all the other songs. He doesn't want to do his job. So no one has refused to let the president be the president. It's the president who has refused to be the president. So what shall we do? What then shall we do if the president has refused to become president? Okay. But then, you are talking about 2.5 minutes. I have got my 2 minutes to go now.
Yes.
USAID and the issue of unemployment. We have got 40,000 people directly employed by USAID becoming jobless. Those are middle class. We're talking about degree and above. 40,000 people middle class. You know that they have got bigger families there. Then we have got about 400,000 others who actually are also dependent on USAID funding that have actually been checked out. So there we have got, let's just say, give or take, if you look at how EU also has also adjusted its funding now in the absence of USAID, because now the European Union now wants to actually also protect itself. They're putting money together for purposes of taking care of their own security. They are moving away money from funding. So we have got about 500,000 people losing their jobs and livelihoods, and there has not even been a single statement from Parliament or even a government policy to intervene and work on anything. Last year, PS Mwadime from Labour said that there are 5.4 million Kenyans who are educated but have no jobs. So you have got 5.4. Now we've got another about 500,000 people being jobless. There is no deliberate policy to actually meet that. You look at the policies that we are doing, they should be labor-based going forward, because every country comes up with policies that solves its problems. Looking at how we actually are doing stuff, we clearly do not appear to be responding to that. We are doing projects and we are coming up with businesses that only help individuals. Why is it that everybody's business is struggling? Companies are struggling to make pay. They cannot pay people, but somehow we are not adjusting our policies to move towards that end. We would rather be talking about tribalism and talking about other issues and not talking about the issues that matter. When you have got about 6 million people that fairly are educated and are jobless, and the best you can do is the things that we're doing around, that you move around to launch old projects. You are doing a lot of politics around the mountains and valleys, and even in Western, where I come from, there's a mountain. Actually, the oldest mountain in the region is Mount Elgon, for example, and we even don't talk about it.
Yes.
It's actually 24 million years old, unlike Mount Kenya, which is just 3 million years old.
Kathy, you go next. You're 2.5 minutes.
I think in my closing remarks, first is actually to congratulate both the President and the former Prime Minister on actually this coming together and ensuring that, one, the country is peaceful, there is unity, and that we work. I like the boldness of Raila Odinga. He is in government, so to speak, but he's still bold enough to point out at issues that are not, at matters that are not moving the right direction, and actually calling everyone to order as BAMBA. I'm really positive. I continue to believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. For the 2 years that President William Ruto has run this country, there's been a lot of discord, there's been a lot of unrest, including the Gen Z Mandamano and all these issues. And I think honestly, as Kenyans, we need now to allow him time to work. When I look and listen to the politicians who are on the other side of the political divide, I think we also lack to see the positive things that are coming and the positive things that the executive and also our members of parliament, everybody else is trying to do. Because let me tell you, Fred, if this country burns, if things don't work as they're supposed to work, then all of us suffer. And really, we do not have another country to go to. This is our country, this is our home, and we all belong to this one country called Kenya. So let us not divide this fabric further. Let us not demolish what we have built over all these years, and just embrace unity embrace oneness, and just know that this is our country and we must live in unity. I think the politics that are happening right now, especially from the opposition, are just too divisive. And even the president, with all that noise, you can imagine the attacks that are coming from all corners. And even at times I also fault the UDA group because of how they ran their campaigns towards the 2022 general election, because they were also a bit divisive. So it is with the same vigor and prowess that the people attacking them on social media are using. But then we can overturn this, we can change, and we can do better. Thank you.
Asante. Dr. Mbai, you go next.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fred. One, I'd want to say that the common problem we may have seen is that the tendency of the current government to want to do everything fresh, like doing all policy things like SHA, like housing, like university model, all at once, as if all the other presidencies in 63 have not been having an idea what to do. Like it is now that, you know, salvation has really come, and this is what we should do. That's number one problem. Number two, I want to state here very categorically how government programs and projects should do, especially now we are marking the midterm, is it should be a structured way. Fred, when budget happens, projects should be sent to the people that have been budgeted for, up to Turukana, to Samburu, so the people can know what has been budgeted and the projects they are waiting, so they can also check the government. Right now, it's a one way only. We don't know. Mount Kenya doesn't know. There's no list of projects that are being funded that are going on. People don't have them. It should be in a system. That is what we had recommended, right? That's why some of these things, when they don't happen, nobody knows what's happening. It is left to the whip of where do we go this week. But do people know what projects are being done? That's a system we had proposed, which was not done. Now, finally, I want to say this. Fred, we can come here and say what government has done 2.5 years, right? The issue here is with the person on the ground. I stopped by a supermarket in Gilgil the other day. At just a small supermarket, that man told me the following words. Peter, 2 years ago, before 2022, my small supermarket used to make revenues of 600,000 shillings per day. Today, he's barely making 200,000 Kenya shillings. Look at border people. Look at matatus. They will say they are getting less than half what they used to get. That is if you want to know the midterm performance of this government, let's not talk up here. Let's not remove reports and indicators from the economy. Go to the person and ask them, how is the economy? They have the answers. Finally, the connection between politics, leadership, and governance, Fred. Governments are made from politics. Governments are voted for. If you mismanage politics, you are doomed. And that is one thing people need to know. People need to understand politics. So if you manage politics from the whole country, if you manage how you do things from regions, from other communities, from races, from all that, people feel angry. Once you mismanage politics, whatever else you want to do on leadership and governance, Fred, and development, it is going to suffer.
Thank you. Finally, Bwana Sosion.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's good as a country we debate and think differently and freely. But I think where we are in the threshold of history of this country, and which I urge some of us to see, is total transformation of this country. Let's take out of this country out of ethnic divisions. Let the country be united, and let's see economic transformation, and that brings in economic inclusivity and opportunity for all. President William Ruto and Raila Odinga, these are not simple Kenyans. They are statesmen. These are men who have grown through ranks of leadership, and they've traversed, they have immense experience of the country. And I think the agenda they have on the table, which some people are very uncomfortable about, is the best. There will be we shall have a country of inclusivity and equality. And what the president is so focused on, did we really think that at one day, one time, Kenya can stop importing sugar and we can produce enough within the country? We had lost our country, and to recalibrate our country and the economy is not a walk in the park. And we look forward to see our small-scale farmers, wherever they are in the country, benefiting from the pillar of the transformation agenda in the agriculture that focuses on production, processing, and marketing. We will see more transformation in the macroeconomic space. We will see a lot of transformation in the ICT. In fact, a lot has been done in laying the fiber optic up to close to 20,000 1,000 kilometers as opposed to some 3,000 in 2022. It's a lot of work being done. The housing revolution model, yes, it is working, and we have to improve it and make it work so that the youth and the young Kenyans will not struggle to build homes, but they will get homes as they grow, going into the future. And UHC, which no president in this country has been able to roll out. Jomo Kenyatta was unable, Moi was unable, Kibaki was unable, Uhuru was unable, but President William Ruto has done it in 2 years, and we are 6 months into working UHC. Can you imagine patients with dialysis are now being treated, which they were paying for before? Yes. There are many other transformations, recalibration of our education system, expanding infrastructure. I think those are the things that we should speak to as a country, but not talking about what is it for us as a tribe, what is it for us as a region, what is it for me, simply because I'm a member of UDA.
Former MP,
let the president be the president now.
Thank you so much. Our time
Let's
is
allow
up
the
officially.
president to be the president.
Kathy Rungu, political leader, Dr. Peter Mbai, leadership and governance expert, and Arnold Maliba, party leader, Progress Plus Alliance. Ruto readies to face a hostile Mount Kenya. President William Ruto will host members of parliament today at State House as a follow-up to last week's meeting with the Deputy President in preparation for their 7-day tour of the region, which will happen either this last week of March or the first week of April. That has been State of the Nation. Look at big headlines this morning. After the break, we'll be discussing matters endometriosis. Arnold Dida will be carrying out that interview with Dr. Ada Wanjiku. To stand by for that. My name is Fred Indemuli. Good morning.